I'm Reverend Barry Steiner Ball, and today our interview for the What If program comes with two friends of mine who have responded to the opioid epidemic in roundabout ways by volunteering in local schools. Part of the problem of the opioid epidemic is that there are children who have fallen through the cracks, and they're in schools every day. And the local church can go into those schools, spend time with these children, and help them get a view of them being special, that they are a child of God, well beloved. So let's talk about that. Well, first of all, part of the pain of the opioid epidemic comes with the children whose parents are so addicted that they just really cannot care for them. And those children very often fall through the net and are on their own. They go to school hungry, nobody's working with them on their homework. They have nobody pushing them academically or holding them to standards of behavior. And one of the studies, or many studies have shown that if a drug-endangered child has a person from outside the family show them love and support, basically an hour a week, they have a great chance of succeeding at school. And when they succeed at school, there's a good chance that they will not get caught up in the epidemic. So, tell me about your program, the Communities in School.
Well, Communities in Schools right now is it's a national program, but the Greenbrier County is the only one in West Virginia that's active right now. And they do background checks on all their volunteers, but the whole idea is to find at-risk and vulnerable children, to give them someone to care for them, someone to encourage them, someone to just talk to them and show them that someone cares.
Well, now, let's go to a very basic question here. We pay teachers money to take care of them during the school day. How are the teachers not able to do this for us?
Well, because the teachers have 20 other students in the room, and for the mentors or the tutors, it's one-on-one. Where are you and where do you need to go, and help them build the bridge from where they are to where they need to be.
Fantastic. And how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for about 3 years now in Greenbrier County. I started in the Wood County area with Parkersburg South football and being the team chaplain for them, and then connecting with the entire school through them.
Have you seen a change in your mentee over the last 3 years in Greenbrier?
I have. The first couple of years I had the same person that I was mentoring, and it went fairly smooth. And then we went through a period where there was a few different students, and they really, at the middle school level, had already checked out.
Too late.
They didn't want to hear anything other than what they wanted to hear, and so even to try and encourage them, no judgment. I mean, there can't be judgment in this, or you're not going to connect with these kids. So, but they still were just, on their path.
Is there a chance to get back into the elementary school age?
There is, and in fact, there's several different programs there. There's the Read Aloud program, as well as the Communities in Schools. And every school now, I think in West Virginia, has a volunteer registration form. And all you have to do is go to the office and say, hey, I want to help. I want to make a difference in these kids' lives. They'll sign you right up. You can make copies. If you can't work with the kid, they'll let you make copies, something, so that these kids see people besides those that are paid to be there, that are coming to spend time with them.
Great. George, what's the program you're with?
Well, the program I'm with at Mary Snow Elementary on the west side of Charleston started about 6 years ago, and it was Jack Cipoletti, a member of Elizabeth Memorial United Methodist in Charleston, who started it. He went to a parent-teachers meeting and stood up during the meeting and said, we need more student and parent involvement in this school. And one of the parents called him out on it and said, well, why don't you come on down? And so Jack went, and because of his background, they thought he would be best helping fifth graders learn writing skills. And so he's done that now for about 6 years. And 2 years ago, he called me, he said, there are 2 fifth grade classes, I could really use another person. Could you come along and do what I'm doing? And I agreed to, and what we're doing is every year we have the students write an essay, what I want to be when I grow up. And it's the exact same subject as the treasurer, John Purdue, here in West Virginia. He has a contest like that for the 529 program. And so the students are assured at the beginning of our time with them that if they really work at it and try hard, they will be published authors by the end of the program. And Jack had lined up a law firm here locally that was contributing to have the work published that the students produced. And so every year an 8.5 by 11 booklet with their photos and their essays are published. And last year I joined the effort, and so we've got more students now involved. And it's funny, the first time I ran into this, I was on walking down the street in Charleston during a fair, and Jack was set up in a tent with some of the kids, and they were selling the booklet for like $1 a piece, a contribution, and I bought a booklet, and he said, would you like to have some authors sign their work? And there they were, and they were just so proud, they were beaming, they were so excited, and that sold me that I should probably get involved in this.
I remember you talking about your first mentee, grades improving.
Oh, yes.
Now, are you just that great of a mathematician that you were able to impart that wisdom to a child, or?
No, the first time we met, we had a discussion about some life traits and characteristics that are important to me. And one of those was integrity. And we talked about what it means and how it applies to our life. We ended that meeting with a challenge. For every A he got, I was going to do 20 push-ups. And for every B he got, I would do 10 push-ups. C was a wash, but for every D he got, he had to do 10 push-ups. And for every F he got, he had to do 20 push-ups. Now I'll tell you, the first report card that came out after that, he did a lot of push-ups. But that was it. He realized right then that, you know what, I don't like this, and I can fix it. And just continued to work with him. And by his last report card before he went to the high school, I think he only did 10 push-ups, and I was doing the rest of it.
Good. And it was just personal relationship, just bonding and letting him see that there's other ways to live than what his home experience is.
Right.
George, the kids that are involved in your program, are they selected the top of the cream and they've already got writing skills, or is it everybody?
It's everybody. It's fifth graders across the board, and some have checked out, like you said, they've already checked out, and a lot are on the edge. And
already in fifth grade?
Already in fifth grade. A lot are on the edge. They're not getting a lot of support at home, you can tell. They have a hard time. They can express themselves well in street talk, but they can't write very well, some of them, and their spelling is difficult, and so it's a matter, I think, of helping them realize that there are rules to how you can express yourself well, so others can understand you and you can communicate. And several of the children over the past 2 years have been, greatly affected, I think, and touched, and have come a long way. And unfortunately, some just refuse. One little boy told me that the dictionary was just too big a book; he wasn't going to pick it up, and that's what he said.
These children, many of these children, are living in situations that we can't begin to understand or believe, really. I mean, it's just hard to imagine. And they need folks from the church to leave their pews and go out and find them in the schools and spend time with them.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to get your background done?
They pay for it.
Oh my goodness, it's free, you say. And how many we're good Methodists here, so how many subcommittees of a standing committee do you have to belong to before you can go in and care for a child?
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
Just walk in the front door.
Yeah, they're pressed for resources, and I think they're excited to have people come in and spend some time. I haven't found any barriers at all in that.
Fantastic, fantastic. And it's not 100% guaranteed though. I mean, you are given of your time, but there is no absolute guarantee that this child's going to grow up and be a Rhodes Scholar and then,
right.
and then be a doctor.
No, not at all.
Is there a chance of your heart getting broken?
Absolutely. But it's a risk that you have to be willing to take.
Amen. Yeah. You all are involved, and both being male, are there a lot of male volunteers that you see in the school?
Not really. And in fact, most of the teachers, even through the middle school level, are female. And many of the students, maybe not many, some of the students raised by a single mom and then female teachers, they never get to see what it's like to have that relationship with another male, to bond and recognize that there's an accountability for how you behave, even just as a man, that there's an expectation that you behave a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Most of the people I see at Mary Snow who are authority figures are female. There are a few men that are hired, staff or specialists who come in and do various, things in the classroom with students, but there are very few male volunteers that I see or talk to.
Yeah. So that's important. I mean, it's role modeling. As simply is all it is.
Well, I think so. I believe where you are most effective is when something happens that's not planned. Last year once there was a fire drill, I believe, and everyone had to go out and sit in the hallway. And I sat down with one of the youngsters that was in my class who had been very unresponsive and actually rebellious. And we just had a long talk. It went for maybe a half hour. And he completely turned around after that and tried to produce some writing that I might praise him for. And of course I did. And it was just so exciting.
You think it was just building a trust in the hallway there?
Well, and that he found out I was actually paying some attention to his work. And, I was reading his material and responding to his thinking and asking him, questions based on what he had written, as opposed to standing at a blackboard or a whiteboard and talking to the whole class. I think those moments are terrific, and they are those precious moments that can really make the whole experience valuable for both the student and for the volunteer.
Well, that's a good question. Let's be selfish here. Do you get anything out of this? Feeling good?
Listen, I've never walked through that door to the school to mentor or as a team chaplain when I didn't leave there twice as blessed as I ever could have been if I hadn't gone.
Yeah, I always feel happy that I got to spend some time with the children, and I think back when my two stepchildren were in school and the discussions we had and the impact some people had on their lives, and my wife when she went to college and the impact one particular professor had on her life, and you just don't know when you're going to have that impact. And so it is a gamble. It is sometimes a heartbreak, but sometimes it's just a tremendous joy. And every visit is an opportunity and a blessing.
Well, I have one more thing. In the communities and schools, not only do they do the mentoring and whatnot, but they also have, they call it a credit recovery program. So, you know what, last 9 weeks you kind of checked out and everything went south. We can put you in this program and you complete this 9 weeks and last 9 weeks goes away like it was never even there.
Grace.
Yeah, grace, that's right. It's all about grace. And I think it's important that people recognize that, you know, grace reaches beyond the walls of the church.
Amen. Amen.
I think I'd like to say that I think the teachers are incredibly dedicated and they're incredibly stressed.
Oh, yes.
They've got students that are unruly, they've got students who are sick, they've got students who are so tired they can't hold their heads up, and they've got 25 of these individuals who each have issues and they're coping with them the whole day long. So to get to provide a little break for the teacher, I mean the teacher's still in the classroom, but to have a break for them, I'm always joyous that that happens, because I don't know how they do that day in and day out. I mean, it is just an incredible ordeal for these folks, and it's them and their charges, full tilt boogie the whole time. And kids in the 5th grade, they're active. I mean, they're wanting to do stuff, and they're not going to sit in a chair for a real long time. So it's a great challenge for the teachers. I admire them to do what they do.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, you go in and you actually take over the whole class of 25 or however many.
Yes, Jack, we do what the teachers want us to do.
Right.
And so in Jack's class, it's more of the teacher is helping the whole class, and Jack's with an individual student that needs special help, maybe. And then that student changes, from week to week. For me, the teacher has pretty much said, it's your classroom. And so I try and develop a little curricula to go with the project and try and keep them on track. Every week I present the very same formula. Here's how we're going to work on this project. We're going to do some brainstorming, and then we're going pre-write, and then we're going to do a draft, and then we're going to share. And when we share, we're going to be very positive with the other person, so we don't turn them off. We're going to say nice things, and then we might suggest a few improvements, and we use this process. And so if the whole class learns nothing else, I hope they learn there is a writing process, and that when you write the first sentence, you're not yet done.
And David, you go in and you work individual. How do you stay in the classroom, or?
No, generally we meet in the library. We'll go back in the back where we can be alone, not isolated, but away from noise and distractions. And sometimes I'll take some dominoes or something where they can use their math skills. And the other thing that I've learned there is that if you can get them engaged in an activity that they enjoy, they open up and talk so much more. They just seems like the bonds are set loose, and they say, you know what, if you'll play with me, then you must be all right.
We want to thank Dave and George for sharing with us today. They come from 2 different programs that are just happen to be in the communities where they live. There may very well be preset programs in your community. If there's not, there is no problem with walking over to the school and saying, I want to volunteer. I want to help a child learn to read. I want to help a child learn to do math. Studies show that if a child gets behind in reading or in math skills early, they're soon to drop out. We cannot afford that, we can't have that, and God certainly does not want that. We got to remember that Sunday school was built on teaching children to read. We can do Sunday school on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays in our public schools.